Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing great. And let's start with today's story titled, I Cheated on My Husband of 14 Years and Lost Him Forever. My husband, 36 male, and I, 36 female, have been together for 16 years and married for 14. We have two daughters who are 13 and 12. About 3 months ago, I cheated on him with my coworker once and immediately regretted it. To be honest, I still haven't figured out the real reason I cheated. On the surface level, the reason would be that my husband was too caught up with work for a couple of months and I felt neglected and unappreciated at times. I know that isn't the real reason, so I'm trying to figure out what is through individual counseling. I only cheated on him that one time and immediately told him the next day because I couldn't bottle up my guilt and shame. He was shocked at first, but then went on to call me the most horrid names. I deserved it. I deserved a lot more than that. I don't even know how it got to the point of me sleeping with my coworker. It started with innocent flirting, and before I knew it, I made the worst mistake of my life by sleeping with him. I wish I'd gotten hit by a car that day before sleeping with him. I cut off all contact with my coworker and gave up my phone to my husband. I wanted to reassure him that I was willing to make this work on his terms, whatever they were, as long as he would give me another chance. Even though in my heart I knew that I wanted another chance to prove myself, I told him that I would understand if he went through with a divorce. Anyways, I told my husband that I would do anything to regain his trust and expressed my sorrow and regret for having hurt him so much. My husband has always been the type of guy to give a person only one chance. Even in his friendships, if the trust had been broken, he wouldn't give the other person another chance. He said that he wanted a divorce, but then the whole quarantine thing happened, and he stayed in the house for about 2 months and didn't proceed with the divorce. For the first month, he treated me very coldly, and the only time we talked was when it had to do with our daughters. I slept on the couch and tried to give him as much space as he needed, and only reminded him from time to time that if he ever wanted to work things out, I'd be more than willing to and would be completely devoted to the process of him working things out. He even said some spiteful things during that month and distanced himself from me completely. During the second month, there was a change as he began talking to me again. We talked about daily stuff and even watched movies together with the girls as a family. I felt like he wanted to try reconciling, and I was so happy. I was thrilled that there might be a chance to save my family, to save us. Eventually, through the next couple of days, I could sense us becoming friends all over again. He even invited me to sleep on the bed again. It was really working out, and I reminded him that he could talk about anything he wanted with me. A couple of weeks passed by, and we were getting along even better. We were spending time as a family again and had gotten closer with each other as well. I felt really good about the way things were going, but I wish I'd suggested marriage counseling. I just didn't want to pressure him and have him think that I wanted to sweep this situation under the rug or that I was trying to influence him to not divorce me. One night, we were drinking a bit, just talking in our bedroom, and I felt a genuine connection rebuilding. It felt like we were falling for each other all over again, and it made me so happy. This is the part I regret now. I decided to make a move on him and straddled him while we were laughing at a joke. We looked each other in the eyes, and so, naturally, I began making out with him. It honestly felt like we were 20 all over again. He kissed me back as well, but after a while, he just started crying. He told me to stop and said that he couldn't. I felt so awful because I felt like he wanted to, but didn't at the same time. It broke my heart to directly see just how badly my stupid decision had hurt him. I told him that I was sorry, and we went to sleep. The reason I say I regret doing this is because I feel like this moment pushed him away forever. 2 days later, he informed me that he wanted to go through with a divorce. He said that he just doesn't think he could make it work even after trying for the last 2 months. I wanted to fight with him about it, but I just told him that I understood. We had already decided before that if a divorce was to happen, it would be on fair terms. Sure, we'd both have lawyers, but we agreed on a lot of the stuff together. He wanted to take a 2-week trip, but would come back to pick up the girls after his trip. We both mutually agreed that we'd split the time with the girls after his trip. They would spend half of the week with him and the other half with me. I even helped him pack up his stuff, and when we finished, I just bawled my eyes out and we hugged it out. After his 2 weeks trip, he came back and it felt good seeing him again, but I knew it wasn't the same. He just smiled, and we made small talk before he took the girls. We're both really good parents and want the best for our kids. Today, I got served with divorce papers. It hurts so much to know that I lost my best friend because I was stupid. Sometimes I roll over to his side of the bed in the morning, and I hate how I don't feel his body there anymore. I miss his smell, his smile, his voice. I miss him filling up the entire room with his loud, adorable laugh. I miss him so much. The thing that hurts me the most in all of this is knowing how badly I hurt the person I love the most. I wish I could go back in time and undo what I did, but I can't. So now here I am, writing while crying, when there's nothing that I can do about it. I wish I could let him see for himself what I genuinely feel in my heart about how sorry I am, and about how I would be the most devoted wife ever if he just gave me another chance. To let him know just how much I love him and that I'd literally do anything for him. I screwed up the most perfect thing that ever happened to me. I wish I could get him back, but I know that I lost him forever. In the comments, someone said to OP, I was cheated on about a year ago, and it's easily the crappiest feeling I've ever felt because I love her so much and it was just the ultimate betrayal. It's a huge combination of anger and sadness. It's the worst because the person you are supposed to trust and count on the most screwed you over. OP replied with, You're absolutely right. What I did was horrible and nothing could ever justify it. I just wish I hadn't destroyed my family and lost my best friend. It was selfish, and that's why I'm going to counseling to see what inside of me is wrong. It might not mean anything at all coming from a person like me, but I'm truly sorry about what you went through. OP, yes, you may be remorseful and deserve another chance, but that chance should be with someone else. And next, the second story. My husband is going to die to get back at me. I've been with my husband for 10 years. I cheated on him after his diagnosis with cancer, and now he has lost all hope. I, 42 female, have been with my husband, 45 male, for a decade. It was the cliché, corny love story. I used to see him at our local coffee shop, but never really gave him much attention. We were just passers-by who shopped at the same place. Until one day we both had the same order and walked up to the counter reaching for it. From there, it was magic. We dated for 2 years, then eloped in our third year. Like any other marriage, we've had our ups and downs, but came through strong each time. Life was good up until a year ago when we learnt my husband has stage 3 cancer. He's been doing all these treatments even when it drains the life out of him, and while the disease has slowed, it is still progressing. Doctors have recommended hospice because at the rate he's going, they think treatment will kill him before his cancer does. I thought I was handling it well until one day a coworker asked how I was doing and I just broke down sobbing. I hadn't cried when we just found out. I hadn't cried when I had to lift him off the bathroom floor every time after his chemo. I hadn't cried when he was hospitalized with pneumonia because of his weakened immune system. But that day I did, and that was the start of my worst mistake. I confided in my coworker, 39 male, about the stress, and somewhere he became my stress relief. I shamefully started an affair that lasted until last week when my husband found out. I had forgotten to delete some texts and he read them. I could see the emptiness in his eyes. He never lost his will to fight after every bad prognosis, but finding out my betrayal drained him of it. His exact words were, Well, I guess I have nothing left to fight for. He has called his doctor and told him he reconsidered his opinion on hospice. No matter how much I'm crying, begging and pleading, my husband is going to die as revenge. And the edit, I don't know why I came here. I guess just to vent. You all have been calling me out rightfully so. I don't have any words to explain why I did what I did. I truly love my husband with all my whole heart. I was burnt out from being his caretaker and moneymaker. I am in no way blaming him. He's apologized for not giving me the attention I needed, leading me to turn to this and that his decision still stands as he feels I would be better off. My face is swollen from crying nonstop. Please, I just need advice on how to stop him. Someone said to OP in the comments, Your husband is not doing this to get revenge. He's dying and he lost his will to live. His dying is not about you. Talk to his family and see if they can convince him to continue his treatment and fight for his life. OP replied with, His parents have passed on, but his siblings are currently not speaking to me. They've all blocked me. He's given up on life because you took away the one thing he felt made life worth living. So much for in sickness and in health. And the third story titled, My wife had an affair while I was away for work. We decided to move past it. Now she's pregnant, and we can't agree how to proceed. OP is 24 and his wife 22. Now back to the story. My wife and I have been married for 2 years, together for 4. I work on a river barge, so I spend about a month away from home at a time for work followed by 2 weeks off. I've been doing this for the last year since I got laid off from my other job. I just got back from a job and found out that my wife has been having an affair with an old boyfriend that recently came back to town. I asked her how many times, and I wish I didn't. She said she wasn't sure and that it had been a continual thing. They started talking on Facebook a few months ago, but it had only been innocent catching up until this last time I left. This time, they agreed to meet up, and had basically been sleeping together all month while I was away. She said that she had planned to end it when I got back, and knew she had to come clean. She let me look at her Facebook message inbox and text messages for proof, and the messages were consistent with her story and timeline. My initial reaction was that the marriage was over. I felt betrayed, hurt, and didn't think I'd ever be able to trust her again. I worked my ass off so that she doesn't have to work while she's in school. I felt like being faithful was the least she could do for me. She knew what marriage meant to me long before we took our vows. Both of us are Catholics. We aren't perfect Catholics by a long shot, but we're deeply religious. I stressed to her that for me, marriage is a forever commitment. In sickness and in health and till death do us part means something to me. I told her that I knew I wanted to be with her for the rest of my life, but only if she could promise me that she knew the same thing. I stayed at a friend's place for a few days and thought it over. First, I talked to our priest. He reminded me what I signed up for and believed in. Marriage is a forever commitment, and that means being able to forgive and work past problems. He recommended that for now I find work closer to home so I can be with my wife, and that we seek marriage counseling either through the church or with a therapist. I also talked to some of the older guys I work with, and it kind of gave me some perspective. A lot of them had gone through the same thing. Some of their marriages survived, and a lot of them didn't. But all of them agreed that spending long periods away from home at a time can be rough on any marriage, but especially tough for young marriages. I understand that feeling constantly lonely and being by yourself in an empty house is hard. We talked, and she assured me that she loved me. She promised me that the affair meant nothing to her, that she just felt alone, and that she would cut off all contact with the guy. She understood that she would have to work to earn my trust back, agreed to give me access to her Facebook, and to check her phone randomly until I can trust her again. She also agreed to go to marriage counseling. On my end, I've agreed to find a local job so that I can be with her and focus on our marriage. We aren't having sex right now, and haven't since she came clean to me. I wanted to take it slow getting intimate again, and she has respected that. We've been kissing, cuddling, and sleeping in the same bed. More recently, she's been insisting on giving me handjobs, which I'm okay with. She says she just wants to know that I still want her, and that she wants to please me. I do want her, and I appreciate her efforts. Still no sex, though. It's not her, it's me. I still find her attractive, but I think it's going to take at least a little while before I feel like having sex with her again. I guess I still feel grossed out by the prospect of it, like she's unclean or something. She understands how I feel and is okay with it. She offered to let me cheat on her to get even or get some physical release, but I declined. I don't want to screw somebody else. I want to be with my wife, and I just want things to go back to normal. 2 weeks later, we find out she's pregnant. Obviously, the other guy is the father. I'm the only person she has told so far. Being religious abortion was off the table for us. I told her that I want her to put the baby up for adoption. I'm willing to forgive her and repair our marriage, and I can look past an awful lot. What I know that I cannot do is go through every day looking at a reminder of her infidelity and having this other guy intertwined in our lives in some capacity. I can't do it. I know that probably makes me a poor Christian, but I've got to believe that God understands that I'm not perfect and forgives me. She wants to keep the baby. She says that the other guy never has to know about it and that she understands that our marriage cannot survive with him in our lives. But her opinion is that it isn't the baby's fault. The baby didn't ask to be born out of an adulterous relationship, and that we would be unnecessarily causing the baby to suffer by putting it up for adoption. She also says that the baby is part of her, and that she would like me to be able to love and accept the child as a part of her instead of the other man. I understand where she is coming from, and I get that it would have to be terrible to carry a baby and have it growing inside of you for 9 months, knowing that you've got to give it away as soon as it's born. But I can't do it. I really don't know what else to say. She has agreed to go talk to our priest about it with me, but regardless of what he says, I can't see either of us budging on it. My marriage might be over, and all I feel like doing is drinking until I pass out. I barely think about it, but we haven't even talked to our families about the infidelity yet, let alone the pregnancy. The whole thing is embarrassing, and I don't want the attention. I don't want people telling me that we're in their prayers, but judging our marriage and guessing how each of us failed. I just want it all to go away. Thank you for reading this. If anyone else has gone through something like this and has had their marriage survive, I'd love to hear from you. I could use some optimism about now. If you choose to stay, you'll end up resenting her forever. And if she gives up her baby, she'll resent you. The best choice is to leave and never look back. First update. Thank you to everyone for your replies. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can meet with an attorney tomorrow and find out what I need to do to ensure that I won't be financially responsible for the child. I expect that she will probably be angry and see this as some sort of power move to force her into adoption. It's clear to me that I could not be happy raising another man's child. It's just too much to ask. I plan to talk to her and tell her that while I forgive her for the adultery itself, the marriage is doomed. We're at an impasse where one of us has to lose in order for the other one to win. There is no half baby, it's all in or all out. Moreover, it isn't fair to deny the father's child a chance to know he is a father, or the child a chance to know who his father is. I don't personally fault him for what happened. I don't know him, and he doesn't know me. I question his morals in sleeping with a married woman, but it isn't as if he had any duty or pledged loyalty to me. It's my wife I should be angry with, if anything. I can't even manage that. I just want to get this over with and move forward. Thanks again, everyone. And second update. I've spoken to a good friend and attorney about it this morning, and he has offered to represent me and work with me on cost. I've decided to move forward with initiating divorce. As I've said, I have forgiven her for what she did. But I've also realized that forgiveness doesn't mean that it would be healthy for either of us to remain in the marriage. I can't raise this child. I don't blame the child, but I know that I would resent it every day. Even if my wife agreed to adoption, I know that she would resent me for pressuring her to do it. The fact is, she has made her choice emotionally. We both know what she wants the outcome to be, and the best thing I can do for both of us in the long term is to stick to my guns. If I'm able to get an annulment through the church, fantastic. If not, so be it. I've got a hard time believing that God will not forgive me for this. For now, my attorney has advised me not to tell my wife, and instead to collect all evidence I have of the affair first. I'd like to believe that my wife wouldn't try to destroy the evidence, but given what has happened and what is at stake, I'm not going to take the chance. I'll speak to her sometime this week, and we'll ask her to leave. You made the right choice. Congrats on moving forward. And that's the end of today's saga. Dear viewers, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss out. Until next time, bye-bye.